Today on The Social. Tennis players are calling out broadcasters after Coco Gauff was captured smashing a racket off court at the Australian Open quarterfinals. Do athletes deserve more privacy? And the bare naked truth. One mom wants to know if she should tell her kids that working as a stripper paid for her college tuition. We debate whether honesty is always the best policy. Then, have your coffee and eat it too. Unique and delicious dessert recipes that incorporate your morning brew. Plus, we learn about the common types of dementia and how to manage the disease for those most susceptible. It all starts now on The Social.
Audience. The style, yeah.
Okay, we'd like to welcome her back, Executive Director of the Walrus, Jennifer Hollett is here.
Good to have you back. Good to be back.
Is this new year, new hair?
Yes, absolutely.
We love
a little rock and roll.
We loves
Nice.
it.
Thank
We
you.
loves it. Well, everybody, listen up. The Olympic Winter Games, Milano Cortina 2026, they are just less than 2 weeks away. And today, we finally found out that mogul skier Mikhail Kingsbury and ski cross racer Marielle Thompson are the Canadian flag bearers. They are both highly decorated athletes. So Kingsbury has an Olympic gold and 2 silver medals. That is in moguls. And Thompson has a gold and a silver in ski cross. So we want to say to both of them, congratulations. This is so huge for us. We will be cheering you on every day of the games.
Okay, keeping with sports, after American tennis player Coco Gauff was captured smashing her racket in the players' area following a loss at the Australian Open, she expressed displeasure that that footage was aired. And now other players are speaking out, pushing for an end to constant filming. Tournament organizers told BBC Sport that the cameras are used to help create a deeper connection between fans and players. But do we think that these players actually deserve more privacy?
Yeah. You guys think so? Okay.
Yeah. This is sport. We're watching a game. There are rules to the game. This was outside of the game. It's not a reality show. And I think between social media and the rise and popularity of reality TV, that it's being produced like a reality show, whereas absolutely, if you want to do that, that is her right, but that could impact some of the deals she has and also how she is perceived.
Yes.
So I think it is very unfair.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm on the opposite end of this, and I have a very interesting take. I say blame Taylor Swift. And hear me, okay, so when Taylor and Travis started dating, remember she went to a regular season game and the ratings were 27 million. Those are Super Bowl numbers. And the Super Bowl, they benefited off that, not just in ratings, also in the merchandising, in their social media hits, everything. And I'm sure all of the other sports were looking at that going, boy, if Alcaraz could just date a pop star, that would be great. And the reality of what's happening in professional tennis, which I love tennis, but year after year, the ratings are going down. So what do you have to do? Well, aside from waiting for Alcaraz to date a pop star, well, you have to create a narrative. You have to create moments that are gonna go viral, that are gonna make people tune into the Australian Open. So if it means getting video of Coco Gauff smashing her racket, or this other guy, Alexander, does a ritual handshake with his girlfriend, which was really cute, and they asked him right after the match and he was kind of thrown off. But it's like, we need to create a narrative. There is time to fill. The commentators have to talk about something. And I know this is not gonna sound nice, but we're not in an era of tennis with big personalities like McEnroe and Serena and and Venus. These guys are very good tennis players, but they're very normal, quiet people. So you do have to drum up that drama. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to have to look for footage from other places so we can kind of get people interested.
But it could be a danger to the sport. It could be a danger to the players. Like, at what cost? Taylor Swift, is she a danger to the sport? I don't think so.
How is it a danger to the sport?
Because I think, looking at this is unfair to athletes, it's unfair to her, and it's actually not like part of the game. And I think a lot of us look at that and we cringe because we've been there. We've been there in moments where we're frustrated and we have to take our anger out. And she's not doing that within the game. So it might look like she is out of control or impact how she is perceived as an elite athlete.
And specifically, she said, I was looking for privacy. She said, I don't need the kids to see me doing that.
She's off the court. She's outside of the public eye.
The
ratings are dipping. They have to do something.
I guess it depends what side you look at it from. If you're on the tennis side, that's probably the argument. I would definitely say from the players' side, sports gets us hot as a player. You know, I've never been at that level of sports, but I remember when I was in grade 10 and I was on the volleyball team. Girl would lose it sometimes, and I just needed a moment to myself. But the point is, I think where it's different is for women. I think there's something very different going on here. Why are the men not getting caught on camera? Because the men are allowed to express their anger right there on the court. And there often is no consequence.
Well,
John McEnroe.
You're saying that women are treated differently than men in tennis?
What?
Wait,
What a concept.
I'll go even further.
What a concept.
I'll go even further. Black women are treated
What? What? Breaking news.
Serena and Venus weren't treated equally?
What?
Oh my gosh.
But that's why
paid fairly and
But that's why it does matter for Coco Gauff. She's still young. She's got a name. She's got great endorsements. She knows she's a role model. She is trying to do the right thing by her younger fans. She said, I was looking for privacy. So I think it's an intrusion. I think we got to find a balance. Invite more celebrities to come and sit outside if you want a reality show. It's far.
It's far.
I would love a trip. Bring us to the Australian Open.
We'll
go.
We'll be packed in 15 minutes. Are you kidding me?
I just think that while John McEnroe can become famous for having tirades, black women are still going to be penalized. Oh, she lost it. So until the playing field is fair, protect black female players.
Or here's a happy medium. Put up signs and let them know where this area you are on camera so that they know that you have to go down that hallway or do something else.
I've not seen footage like this before. This
Because the ratings are dipping and they got to do something. But I'm going to move on because we're being told in my ear. All right, so also from the sports world, pro soccer star, England captain Leah Williamson has great admiration for her head coach, Serena Wiegmann. And she hopes to take their relationship to another level. Take a look at what she had to say at the FWA Tribute Award earlier this week.
So I stand in front of you as her player and captain, but also as a fan of her work. And one day, once her professionalism allows, potentially her friend. I've been told explicitly that is not the case at the minute.
All right, so the question is, can an employee be friends with their leader, their boss? I see nose,
could be,
and one maybe.
They could be friendly. I'm an executive director, team of 40, and the goal is not to be everyone's friends. And if that's what you're trying to do, you've already lost. I think you can be friendly. You can share values, interests with your boss. But as a leader, whether you're a coach or an executive director or a producer, or whatever your title might be, you're there to work. It is business. I think you need to be professional, fair, kind. A friendship can come after the fact, but friendly
what if you start off, because you start off...
You're like, I have a situation.
Let's hear.
This has happened twice in my career where I've started off at a certain level, and in one case, I got the promotion, and suddenly I'm the boss to people who were my friends, people who I would go out with, have drinks with, have a relationship with, and suddenly there's a power differential. That's happened twice, and also it happened with another person who then they got a promotion. So in those situations, I think there's a way to navigate it. Like, yes, it's not ideal.
How'd you do it?
Well, for me, it was like immediately there were things that were off limits we couldn't talk about anymore. And in the case of myself, when I was given a promotion, I didn't say that. I just did it. And the same thing with my other friend who got a promotion. It was just an unspoken thing. I'm not going to and we're not going to talk about work anymore in the same way. There's a million other things going on in my life that I can
Here's
talk
the question,
about.
but is everybody so respectful? Is every friend of the boss going to be respectful
It's
and
a
not
great
cross
question.
the line and go, I hear there's cutbacks. Come on, bestie. Tell me, I
Yeah,
need
like
to know.
what happens when you have to let someone go?
Yeah,
Performance
exactly.
review.
If you have, if we're in an office, right, and we have two besties, and the boss is one of the besties, and then there are cutbacks, and I get let go, but the bestie stays. You don't think I'm thinking, oh, must be nice. I had to be best friends with the boss so for me to keep my job.
You're 100% right. I just know
navigating
that
is
we
tricky.
spend hours of our lives, more hours of our lives in our jobs than we do with our own family and friends. So I think it's inevitable. It's naive of us not to think that sometimes these lines get crossed.
I get it, but I think the hard part is the boss's job is going to be, and you know this, going to have to be feedback. So can you remain unbiased if you actually have to provide some harsh critiques or feedback to somebody who is your friend? And it's a no-win situation because I don't think you can remain unbiased. And I also think that it's not great for morale for the other workers if they believe that favoritism is at play. So if there's always something, if it's a special project, if it's a whatever, even if it's not true, you believe that there is no meritocracy if there's that close of a relationship. So, and I think that really hits morale. So I think that's where it can be
The
a
nervous
no-win.
laughter in that clip said it all.
Yeah.
Nervous laughter,
Yeah,
right?
it's
She
true.
and those who were at the
Yeah,
press
it's true.
conference.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's take a quick break, everybody. So is it best to always tell the bare naked truth? So here's the scenario we'll be debating. One mom wants to know if she should tell her children that, well, she paid for college by stripping. Okay, how honest should you be as a parent after the break?
Tomorrow on The Social, Bridgerton Season 4 stars Luke Thompson and Yaron Ha tell us about the emotional new season, masquerade balls, and those steamy love scenes. This week on The Social, is your beauty routine ready for a refresh? We discover the hottest skincare ingredients for 2026 with skin therapist Tom Tulo.
Give himself a stroke.
All right, I don't know what happened in 2026 because normally January is really hard. It's cold, it's snowy to get people out into the audience, but we've had a stellar month with audiences just like you. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Whenever you're going to be, if you're going to be visiting the Toronto area, scan the QR code on the screen right now. That's how you easily get tickets. Thank you, Vanna White. Thank you. And you can get them for free, and you can join us here live in studio.
Yes. Okay, a mom wrote to Slate for advice saying she put herself through college working as a stripper, and she's wondering if she should tell her 12 and 14-year-old kids about it. So do we think that kids need to know?
Okay.
Well, I need to make a confession here on national television. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
I'm just kidding.
We were all like, what?
That's interesting.
Oh my God.
I know most parents don't even want to admit to having sex.
Yes. I think it
Let
depends.
alone this.
Exactly. It depends. Listen, every kid is different. Every family is different. Your beliefs, your values, how you communicate is different. So I'm going to just talk about my house because I grew up in the house where pretty sure my parents, I mean, they just never talked about anything like that. In my house, we are the opposite. I parent by a principle that I call radical honesty. So my daughter is also very mature for her age. She's very inquisitive. She's very curious. She wants to know everything about everything. Leave no detail out, mummy, is how she
She's
reads it.
fact-checking.
Fact-checking. In our house, the reason why we parent by radical honesty is because I think that that is the best way, if your kid can handle it, to really learn. And it's also, I think, a strategy to reduce shame. If mom is saying stripping is shameful, she needs to work on that because it's all about the context. She did the best for herself at the time with the best that she had at her opportunity. She probably has the house that she has, the education, the means, because she actually did go to college. So the moral of the story is mommy went to college, not mommy was stripping to pay to college. You know, and there is no, also, personally, there's no shame in that
It is
either.
work. It is sex
It's
work. It is work.
I don't see shame in that.
Yeah. I think also something to consider with parents, I love the radical honesty, but I also think that parents don't have to jump to give the full story right away. Like, you can give, I mean, a lot of kids, maybe this is just my son, but he's not super curious. Like, he'll ask one question, and then if I start the story, it's like his eyes glaze over and he's done. So you could start, and you can just like dole it out as they become more curious. I also caution people, and even though I agree with you completely, you mentioned the word shame, and I agree. You've made meaning out of any action in life, even a mistake. You can turn that around and then it becomes a teachable moment.
Yeah.
But I will say what kids maybe need to also understand is that, or parents maybe need to understand is that kids talk and they talk to each other. And just because in your family you don't find any shame or judgment around that doesn't mean that the extended group of people, so you just have to prepare yourself for that.
But people who go to the strip club also talk, so they could hear it from another source.
That is true. There we go. There we go.
You know what, the one thing I've learned about family secrets are there are no family secrets. Everybody knows. And they may not say it to your face, but everybody knows. From a very young age, I learned early on that if I stayed in the room and kept my mouth shut and almost became invisible, I would hear all the gossip. And I heard everything from whose third child is not theirs to whose sisters are sleeping with whose husband. And I learned at an early age that I could find out all of that information, and I think parents need to give their kids more credit. The kids know more than you think, even at a very young age. By age 8, 9, I was already onto games. So I feel like if you want to, I'm not telling this mother when to do it, but I'm saying it's gonna come out. So better your kids hear it from you than some inebriated uncle at the Christmas party who's like, you know your mama used to strip. Like, that's what you don't want. So choose it and get ahead of it, because again, it's better for them to hear from you, and everybody already knows. Everybody already knows. So yeah, that's my parenting advice for today. You're welcome, parent. You're welcome. That was free. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. The Lunar New Year is coming up, and this crying horse toy is in honor of the Year of the Horse, and it has become a viral bestseller in China. Now, Reuters reports that it was actually made by mistake, but is now selling like hotcakes. So what does it say about the world today with this sad little horse?
This is all of us. This is how we feel. It was a mistake, but a beautiful mistake. It reminds me of the upside down emoji. You know, the smiling face that's upside down. It sometimes just captures the moment of a mistake, or again, just how you might be reacting to the news. But it reminds me of another character. Let's pull it up.
Oh, it's true.
I never got Eeyore. What was his problem again?
Doesn't that perfectly encapsulate 2025 and 2026 already?
It's just like, So Eeyore, that's Eeyore's personality, but I think with this mistake, it's people embracing a moment.
Yes.
Through something that should be really cute and, you know, squishy and stuffy. It's like,
I love how
this is all of us.
Yeah, it is all of us. I feel like I'm worried that it was like, is this a cry for help from the employees of this place that made this as well? And then I was just kind of like, the one thing I do really like is that they all kind of seem surprised by their, like, I don't know if we can call it up again, but they're kind of like, it's like they're surprised by their moves. What my fear also is that, look at, they're like, I'm surprised, it's shock.
No, they look like, what next? What else?
A little side eye, a little side eye.
Is it a premonition for 2026?
I feel like they're looking at an orange man off screen. Anyway, you know what's so sad about this is because apparently it was a mistake in the factory. Somebody sewed the smile upside down, which could have been a cry for help. But this actually reminds me of something that in Silicon Valley right now, there's the adoption of this like work ethic called the 996. 996 was borrowed from Chinese workers. What is 996? You work 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Wow. This is how a lot of Chinese workers work.
It's exploitation by our standards here in North America.
They call it modern slavery even in China, right? And so to me, it's so sad that the Year of the Horse is supposed to be optimistic. This is the year you're gonna be unbridled. You go out and chase your dreams. And what this is really saying is we're working too much to chase our dreams. That's what it says to me. So it's kind of sad. But I really want one. Can someone send me one?
Yes.
Can someone send me one,
and
please?
for those of us in U.S. and Canada, we just look at the news and Donald Trump and go, that's how you're making us feel all the time. That's our faith.
So true.
That's our faith.
Oh. All right. Well, let's turn that frown upside down. After the break, a writer for the Globe and Mail is arguing that you should not help drivers who get stuck in the snow. Wait a second. This is very un-Canadian. But we're going to debate this, and maybe you'll agree. You just leave them there and drive away. After this, we'll see after the break. that you can do is the next story. A writer argues in the Globe and Mail that we should all stop helping drivers who get stuck in the snow. Okay, well, he says that if you don't have winter tires and then you choose to drive in a major snowstorm, you deserve to get stuck. So is it okay to refuse to help somebody?
Who
Andrea?
are these monsters? Who is this monster who even came up with this ridiculous question? First of all, I'm gonna take this opportunity. I lived out in Saskatchewan for a while, and before I got there, they kept on warning me about the Saskatchewan winters. And I go, everybody relax, I'm from Canada, I'm from Ontario, I've seen winter. Boy, was I wrong. Because a Saskatoon winter is very different. And I had a car that was stick shift, and it was also rear-wheel drive, and my tires, well, they'll just leave that alone. They weren't winter.
A little smooth.
And I got stuck all the time. And in the 2 seconds into getting stuck, someone would just hop off the sidewalk and help me out and be like, all right, here you go. And it's warmed the cockles of my heart so much that when I see someone stuck, I know that feeling and I don't even think. I just leap and go, okay, let me help you get out of it, because I know that helpless feeling of like, how am I gonna get out of this? So this idea that you're gonna leave people stranded, there could be a young woman in there who's just trying to get to her job so she can, make her rent, and you're gonna leave her stranded? That's not Canadian, that's not what we do.
Okay.
It's not what we do.
Yes. 100%.
You're leaving people stranded?
I'm just saying, I think it's, like there are different scenarios. Like what if you are in a rush to get somewhere, you have to go pick up your kid, and somebody, is stuck. Like, I think we have to give some people some slack. And I also think like right now there's a lot of people driving around who, they don't know what they're doing in this weather. And they chose to take out their sports car that's this far off the ground. They thought that was a good idea.
That's the only car they have, maybe.
Okay, but let's take this line of thinking further. I'm not into cars. I don't have a car. I ride a bike, I walk, I took public transit here. So should I not help anyone in a car because I don't think we should have so many cars on the road?
Help them.
Oh, like you're going meta.
No, just
on
like
this.
this is just, because I do think it comes back to just helping other humans. And if we start putting our scruples on to who we're gonna help, I'm not gonna help you because we disagree on, like, are we gonna help anyone? So that's what I understand with the line of thinking.
I guess I'm just more empathetic towards, listen, I'm gonna help somebody if I have the time. If someone's out front of my house, I'll do it.
If you see Cynthia and your car is stuck, be like, Cynthia, get over here, help me.
That's not true. It's not true. But what I'm saying is I have a lot more empathy towards, like right now, the state of our streets with a woman with a stroller or somebody who has a disability who's in a wheelchair. My heart wants to help that quicker than somebody who's in a car making a really bad choice, who chose not to put on winter tires.
Well, let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. In a snowstorm that is like a once in a century kind of storm. Now, I'm not saying ours this past weekend was once in a century. Actually, it was record breaking. It was record breaking.
Where we heard on the news, do not go out.
Sure, but some people have
to go out.
So let's just argue for a second. Someone has to go out. I will say this. I believe, and I think we all believe, we're actually amazing drivers. So who actually believes or knows that they're a bad driver? I think even though I'm a great driver, I could still get stuck unknowingly as well. I also want to say, winter tires are so expensive.
Thank you.
So if you're like, you know what, I have to get to my job, I have to make rent,
Yep.
but tires can cost $600 to $1,800 for a set of 4, depending on your vehicle, and you go, and you might think, I can do it. But what if it's someone else's fault, and they end up putting you? There's so many situations.
But I'm with you because a lot of people need help in a major snow event, which is what the City of Toronto has been calling this. And I do think there are people who are walking or elderly who aren't in a car that can heat them up that do
But it
deserve our
shouldn't
help.
be
first.
either or. It should you see someone who needs help, help them. Whether it's a mom with a stroller, someone stuck in the snow. This is what makes our society tolerable. Just help. You see
That's
somebody
it.
in need.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, listen, the March-April edition of The Walrus is getting ready to come out, and it dives into the untold story of the deadliest mass shooting in Canadian history. This is your magazine, Jen. Can you tell us about why you decided to dive into this topic?
Yeah, so this is a sneak peek of our cover story for March, April, which you'll see on newsstands soon. And the story is online for free at thewalrus.ca. If you think back to April 2020, we were navigating lockdown. It was the deadliest mass shooting in our history out of Portapique, Nova Scotia. So this is the perspective of the common law partner of the shooter. So if you're interested in the story and learning more about it, I think it would have got more coverage if we weren't navigating COVID, or if you followed true crime. It connects domestic violence to the larger story. So yeah, look for it if you're interested in reading more. And we have a range of other stories and games and more at the website.
Thank you so much,
Good
Jen,
to
as always.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to be back.
Thank you so much for mixing it up with us as you do. We love having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you heard Jen say it. For more information, head to thewalrus.ca. Let's take a quick break, everybody, and then up next, desserts made with coffee. Baker Gavin Knox. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Welcome back. Our next guest says, move over tiramisu. There are so many other delicious ways to incorporate coffee into your desserts.
Because why not have your Joe and eat it too? So here with unique coffee desserts is baker extraordinaire Gavin Knox. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Okay, Gavin, we all know that having a cup of coffee with a dessert is a great pairing, but why does it work so well when it's actually incorporated right into the dessert?
Okay, so there's a few things at play here. Coffee deepens flavor. As we know, coffee and chocolate together, one of the best pairings out there. And this works because the aromatic compounds in the coffee actually stack up on those in the chocolate and kind of intensify the cocoa flavor, so it gets much richer, much more developed. Coffee itself has milder acids in it, so when you eat it, it actually stimulates saliva in your mouth, so flavors get a chance to get around your mouth more, so you can experience it more. Then, more sciencey stuff here for you. Coffee has volatile compounds in it, which are retronasally activated. What this is, when you're chewing them, it actually releases those compounds into an aroma, and that's what you pick up as well. Think of it as when you're eating, if you hold your nose and taste something, and then release your nose, they'll taste different in that way because the aroma compounds help with it as well.
Love that. Okay, so what should we all consider or keep in mind if we want to bake with coffee?
Okay, so when you're baking with coffee, the thing to remember is it kind of helps with keeping sweetness in check. So it has a natural bitterness, which can stop desserts becoming cloying or too rich, too much in your palate. You can use it in two ways. There's liquid form, so I would suggest using something like a cold brew concentrate, because if you use hotter coffee, that tends to be a bit more acidic. Cold brew, the brewing method gives you a less acidic version.
Okay, good to know.
Dry powder-wise, there's a thing called instant espresso powder, and that's really good because it gives you a lot of bang for such a small amount. And the good thing about it as well is you can add it in without altering the state of your batter or your dessert too much.
Ooh,
Okay, that's great. Okay, we're gonna get to the desserts that you brought to, for us today, starting with pig liquor brownies.
Yes.
What? I'm intrigued. Gavin, what the heck are those?
So these are always a talking point, and they're basically a spin on everyone's favorite, a chocolate brownie. But in it, you've got pecans, you've got coffee, of course, and then it's topped with some candied bacon.
Candied bacon.
Candied bacon, that is the pig liquor element of it. A pig liquor is actually, it's from the southern state fairs, where it was crispy bacon, which would be dipped in chocolate, and then coated in nuts or sea salt. Here, I candied it and coated in a sugar and pecan mixture.
I quite like this, and you know what? I don't even eat pig. Okay, I like this.
Oh, I didn't realize.
No, but it's delicious. It's delicious. So at what point do you add the coffee element here, and what does it do to actually even enhance?
So like I was saying, coffee, when you use it with chocolate, enhances the cocoa elements and makes it much richer, much deeper. And in this, there's a step where you melt the chocolate and butter together. Once that has cooled a bit, add in some cold brew concentrate, and that gives you that coffee element there in it.
That's delicious.
so
Okay,
good.
We cannot cover coffee desserts and not talk about coffee cake, obviously. So what's the twist on yours?
Okay, so here, when I first moved here, interesting trivia, it took me a while to get used to that coffee cake here didn't have coffee in it. It was coffee, it was a cake that you had with coffee. Now, what I've done here is a spin on the British version, a coffee and walnut cake, which does actually have coffee in it. It's got coffee and ground-up walnuts. It's similar to a Victoria sponge in that you have like sponge layers with the coffee extract and walnuts and then a coffee buttercream. But here I've made it into a bundt with coffee, and I've actually included some blackberry jam because the citrus notes in that tart jam work really well with coffee.
So just explain again the coffee element in here.
So the coffee element within here is, it's throughout it. So we've got cold brew concentrate in the cake batter mixed into it, and then it's steeped in a coffee and maple syrup. Once the cake is cooked, and then on top we have a coffee and powdered sugar glaze, and then decorating it we have some coffee candied walnuts.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good, but it's not coffee forward.
Not at all.
I'm struggling
you get
to find
it there,
it.
but
Super
it's not
subtle.
too bitter, because that's the thing. You have to be careful about it tipping from being bitter and working to being acrid.
That's right.
Delicious.
Oh, so subtle. Okay,
Wow.
next up we have early bird cinnamon rolls. Tell us about these. They look amazing.
You had me at cinnamon rolls.
Right?
my favorite.
Yay! So these are probably one of my favorites. For me, they sum up like a perfect Saturday morning. There's coffee in there, of course, cinnamon rolls, and there's some citrus from orange in there.
My Gavin.
Oh my Gavin.
Oh my Gavin. Oh my Gavin.
Welcome to my new segment.
This is bonkers good.
Yay!
Oh my God. I don't even know what I want to say next. How do you make this?
Okay,
How do you make this fluffy cinnamon roll? And like, I heard you maybe are soaking this in cream?
Once you've proved your dough for the cinnamon rolls a second time, before you pop them into the oven, put about maybe half a cup of heavy cream or whipping cream over them. Sounds a bit weird, but trust the process. And what happens is during the baking, the rolls will bake and they'll soak up that cream and become really fluffy and kind of indulgent.
Oh my God.
I want to just keep going, but I can't because I gotta read something.
Oh my God.
Okay, the dough isn't the only thing with the coffee component here. Like the glaze is incredible and it has some coffee in it as well, right?
Yeah, so the dough has coffee concentrate mixed in with it, and then in the glaze, I've actually used more coffee concentrate, but I've got some orange zest in there as well, because like with the blackberries, citrus notes work really well with coffee as well. It picks up the fruity elements within coffee beans.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Okay, up next, a no-bake espresso eclair cake.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone loves a no-bake dessert. I do. And this is basically super, super easy. It's basically, I guess, the background behind it, it's supposed to mimic the flavor of French eclairs. And what you've got here is a layer of graham crackers, and then they sandwich traditionally a vanilla kind of custard pudding. But here, I've made it coffee flavored. Super easy, and you can make it ahead and leave it sit there.
So it's just graham crackers?
Graham crackers pudding, and then chocolate on top.
Oh.
Unreal.
And you've got
We can
espresso
all
in
die
there
and
as
go
well.
to heaven now. We're done. We're done here. Okay, so the coffee element in this comes from the espresso powder, which you mentioned at the top.
I mentioned at the beginning espresso powder, and the great thing about it is it's soluble, so it'll mix right into the vanilla pudding and dissolve, and it gives you, because it's a bit more concentrated than liquids, it gives you a good coffee punch for minimum amount going in there.
So great. Okay, so we're ending with wide awake crispy treats. Are these not for the kids?
Can be, depends on your parenting style.
What have you added to the classic treat?
So these are probably one of my favorite things here. Where I'm taking the traditional kind of a nostalgic, gooey, marshmallowy, crispy treats, and I guess tapping into that nostalgia trend that we're aware of, where you take elements from your childhood and up them, make them a bit more grown up. Sophisticated. That's a good word. And basically, we've got the marshmallow treats, espresso mixed into the to the marshmallow within the treats itself, topped off with some chocolate-covered espresso beans.
Oh my gosh.
It's a chocolate covered. That's the little crunch. Oh my gosh.
It's little studs, little pops of caffeine goodness there.
It's like adult Rice Krispie squares.
They are.
Is what it is.
We can have our moment too.
Yes, we sure can. Well, Gavin, thank you so much for these beautiful desserts. Okay, wait for it.
Oh no.
We want to thank you a latte. These were amazing.
Great.
They were amazing.
Awesome.
Okay, we're going to continue enjoy here, but after the break, everybody, a very important conversation about dementia. We'll be right back.
This is probably one of my favorite food segments in the history of the show.
Things are heating up in our kitchen.
The last thing I debearded was my chin last night.
Tips from some of the world's brightest culinary stars.
A tavola a mangiare.
And tricks to save at the checkout that never skimp on taste.
I've never had a cauliflower this good in my life.
Sorry, I'm not saying alcohol. It's familiar, but elevated and exciting.
See what we're cooking up this season on The Social.
Welcome back, everybody. In case you didn't know, January has been Alzheimer's Awareness Month. But Alzheimer's disease is just one among many types of dementia.
Yeah, and here to give us a better sense of the distinctions between the common types of dementia is one of the country's leading neuroscientists, Saskia Sivanathan. Welcome back to the show. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so I think when people hear the word dementia, they kind of blur all of the different diagnoses together. So what are the different types of dementia?
Well, I think most people know that cancer is not one disease, right? It's many different ones. They've got different progressions, different stages, and that means different treatments and supports.
Okay.
So think about dementia the same way. There are actually over 100 different types of dementias. People don't realize that.
Wow.
But we're going to talk about the four most common ones. And the one thing I want people to take away from this is that Yes, memory loss is the thing that ties all of these dementias together, but the early warning signs are different. And so the earlier you can recognize what kind of warning sign it is and what that dementia is, the kinds of treatments and the kinds of supports you can get are going to be different.
Okay.
So my understanding is the most common type of dementia is one a lot of us have heard about, which is in fact Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So first of all, what percentage of dementia are these cases and what do we need to know about it?
Yes, it is the most common form of dementia, and about 60 to 80% of dementia cases are Alzheimer's. It depends on the population. And it is the dementia where memory loss is that first symptom. But the way to think about it is this. The person might remember their childhood, but they're not going to necessarily remember what you just talked to them about. So if we get into the science of this, right, if you look at the brain and the part of the brain that's impacted, usually the first part is the hippocampus. It's like that little seahorse shape there. That's the part of the brain responsible for new memory formation. Okay. So that's why the person is going to remember, you know, things from their childhood, but then they're wanting to tell you the same story about Aunt Mary who met you in the parking lot kind of thing, and then forgot that they told you that 3 times. And this is a slow, gradual progression. So people live 8 to 10 years with this disease, right? So you want to be able to plan for that early.
All right. Well, my father had vascular dementia, which is also the second most common type of dementia behind Alzheimer's. So can you explain that? Because a lot of people have asked me to well, tell me about the vascular dementia that your dad had, because I think my dad has it. So here's your answer. So please tell them, break it down for people.
Well, so the thing about vascular dementia is that there are other diseases that cause vascular dementia. What it really means is that the blood supply to the brain was reduced, and then it causes different parts of the brain to die. Those brain cells die, right? And so things that can cause it include a stroke, small vessel disease, right? Multiple infarcts. And the thing about vascular dementia is that it's not always the memory loss that you see first, or sometimes it fluctuates. They're not always having memory loss. It's what we call executive functioning. So it's the decision making, it's the organizing. So the way to remember that is the person knows what to do, but they don't necessarily know how to organize themselves to do it, right? So if we get into the science of that, one of the examples of part of the brain that could be impacted is the cerebral cortex, right? That's your executive functioning. It's the part of the brain that makes those decisions around what to do next. So if we think like Nona, who makes like her Sunday roast, every week's been doing it for 30 years, and now she's leaving the stove on, she's like forgetting to put ingredients in, she's missing steps. She knows she needs to make the roast. It's the steps to being able to do that.
So the next type of dementia is one that we might have heard of but maybe don't know a lot about, and it's called Lewy body dementia. What is that?
So Lewy body dementia is not one we know a lot about, but it's still fairly common. And it's different from Alzheimer's and vascular dementia in that the underlying biology is a different type of protein called alpha-synuclein that deposits in the brain. And they're linked in terms of Parkinson's-related dementia and Lewy body dementia. And the thing to remember here in terms of the early warning sign is sometimes there's memory loss, but there's also visual hallucinations that the person experiences, like major sleep disturbances, some motor dysfunction. So it is a very different kind of progression from the other diseases. And the way a person might think about that is some days they're fine, and then other days the world doesn't seem real to them. So the symptoms really fluctuate over time for them. So if we get into the science of what that looks like, the brain stem can be the first part that's impacted, and that's like the most ancient part of your brain. It's the part of the brain that does all the things you don't think about, like breathing, walking, sleeping. It controls all of those. So if that part's impacted, then those are the symptoms you're going to see, right? The sleep disturbances, the motor issues.
Okay, all right. So is there a gendered component when it comes to who is most affected by dementia?
Yes, there is. Unfortunately, women are more impacted by dementia. Primarily Alzheimer's disease. It depends on the other types of dementias. And then, of course, women tend to be caregivers as well, right? And so for the longest time, we looked at it and went, well, women live longer, so that's probably it, because your risk of developing dementias tends to increase over time. But now we know, no. Women's bodies are much more complicated. We've got menopause, we've got hormones that change over time. Our brain function and physiological functions are different. And so we're starting to understand that a little bit more. I'll give you a quick anecdote here. Women tend to pass the tests that we do for assessing if someone has dementia because our verbal fluency is better. And so we don't pick it up earlier. Women tend to get diagnosed later because we're able to kind of switch the words and find a way to still explain things. And so those are one of the differences that you see in terms of gender.
Okay,
Wow.
Good to know.
So the last type of dementia we're going to cover today is called frontotemporal dementia, which I understand actually can appear in younger adults.
It
So
does.
tell us about this.
Yeah, so actually people in their 40s and 50s can get diagnosed with frontal temporal dementia. That's when they're first diagnosed. And you can imagine, right? These are people who have young families, they're probably still working. And this is probably the hardest dementia because it's not memory loss, it's actually behavior and personality that changes the first. So if we get into the science of how that works, it's the frontal part of the brain, the frontal lobe or the temporal lobe. And there's two variants. There's a behavioral variant and a linguistic or language variant. So the frontal part of the lobe, that's what controls your personality, right? That's how, the vivaciousness that you guys bring to the table that I don't. Yeah. That's who you are.
Sell yourself short.
But that's the part of the brain, right? And the judgment to decide, should I be saying this out loud right now in this kind of situation? So it's the filter. And when that part of the brain is impacted, someone who might have been really diplomatic is suddenly kind of rude or saying things in what might be perceived in a hurtful way. But it's actually the dementia that's impacting them. And memory loss comes much later in the trajectory of that disease.
Okay.
Gosh, maybe that's Kanye West.
I was like, there's a lot of people I just thought about.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so let's talk about treatments. From our understanding, these are now different kinds of dementia. So do the treatments for each of these vary, and how effective are they?
So treatments are still evolving. We cannot cure any of these dementias, can't even really reverse them. But there are new treatments coming down the pipe. So one of the examples is a new class of drugs that was just approved by Health Canada. The drug is called lecanemab, and that's specifically for Alzheimer's disease. But here again, the reason why you need to know the difference is it's only for Alzheimer's, it's not for the other forms of dementia. And you can only access it if you are diagnosed at the early stage of Alzheimer's disease or even earlier at mild cognitive impairment. So that's one of the examples of the drugs. But then there's other therapies like rehabilitative therapy, right? Like if you have Lewy body dementia, where it might be hallucinations or motor disorders that you're starting to see, well, then the kind of therapy you need is going to be different. It might be more physical therapy, right? But
you should talk to your doctor if you have any of these questions.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Saskia, thank you so much for this very important conversation about dementia. Hopefully we helped somebody today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, stay right where you are. We'll be right back. Yeah, it's so funny. I start like that.
All right, on the next episode of The Social, who's in for some travel math? Okay? Jennifer Weatherhead is going to be here. So where to go and when to go on vacation to maximize those vacation days. We're going to use the calendar. We're going to show you where to go. Also, the stars of the latest season of Bridgerton will be here. Get caught up. We're going to be burning tomorrow here on the couch. See you tomorrow, everybody. Bye-bye.